As it turns out, my area is home to a very famous roast beef sandwich. I'm sure you've seen it before, and there are actually very few places in my area remaining that actually still make this sandwich. So I figured let's get down to a local place that still makes it, and let's pick up the NEBA roast beef sandwich. The NEBA roast beef sandwich originated here in the Albany, New York area. The person who started it was a guy called Mike's. It was called Mike's NEBA in the early 60s. Its main competitor on a national scale ended up being a restaurant that you know as Arby's. There's so much additional history that goes on, and it's really hard to kind of track what happened, but over the course of the last 60 years, the number of places that are making this type of sandwich have kind of dwindled down. There are very few places in my area that still make it. One such place is a place called Mr. Subb. And right here, I have their version of the NEBA. Let me show you what it is, and you can judge for yourself. I haven't had one of these in about 8 years, so I'm really excited for this. Mr. Subb is kind of a local chain of sub restaurants here in the Capital District of New York area. They're kind of more popular for subs. Not exactly the highest quality subs, but I would say if Subway is like your national kind of chain, Mr. Subb is like your local version of it. I think they have something like 15 to 20 stores locally in the area. But anyway, I'm talking too much. You guys got to get on me for talking too much. And it's not only this that I have to try today, so make sure you stick around. I got some other stuff and a fun story to tell you about what's in this other bag. So, all right, the NEBA. So like I said, it's a roast beef sandwich. It's very reminiscent of what you get at Arby's, and let's unwrap it. Now, they seem to have these ready to go. This sandwich was ready in no time. I'm sure they're using microwaves or something, but anyway, without any ado here it is in all of its glory. One of the last remaining NEBA roast beef restaurants in the area. And there it is. Here is the NEBA roast beef sandwich. Gotta love it. So they make it there with, you can get it with bacon and cheese, just like Arby's. I kind of wanted to have it without any of that stuff. The one thing that was non-negotiable was the horseradish. I didn't get that in that first bite. Let's get a bigger bite and see what we can do here. Oh yeah. I had to go in for another bite. The horseradish that they use is, I would say, a moderate strength horseradish. Definitely kind of pulls through some of the flavors. The beef that they use, the taste is very reminiscent of when you make like a homemade roast beef with kind of one of the tougher cuts of beef. And I say that in not a bad way. For $5 or $6 for this sandwich, it's actually very well worth the price. Future me cutting in here. I meant to mention that the name NEBA actually has a legend itself. They say that it actually is an acronym that stands for Never Eat Beef at Arby's, or Nicest Eating Beef Around. It turns out the guy named it after his dog. Isn't that a little ironic? Anyway, back to the tasting. The glory of this sandwich is the meat is kind of stored and cooked with some of the jus, and that kind of soaks through the bread a little bit. It's a pretty amazing sandwich for the area, and it's kind of unfortunate that there aren't too many places around that still make this. Back to that horseradish sauce though, it's a little bit more pungent than Arby's kind of creamier mayonnaise horseradish. It's like a prepared horseradish, I guess is what I'm trying to say, but there's definitely a little creamy mayo or something mixed in with it. Other variations of this sandwich that exist are like beef on weck, and you can kind of go into a whole history. I think the sandwich kind of migrated into Massachusetts, and there's a whole legend. This sandwich here, locally, like I said, there are a few places that make it. Started in the 60s in Albany, New York by a guy named Mike. There may still be a Mike's NEBA locally. I'm gonna try to see if I could find some other of these sandwiches locally in the area and maybe feature them here on the channel just to talk a little bit about the regional specialties. I did say that I have something else that I tried from Mr. Subb today, and that's right here in this bag. Back in 2013, I decided that my Halloween costume was going to be Napoleon Dynamite, and Mr. Subb helped me out with some of the props for that because they serve tater tots. Tater tots at Mr. Subb are baked, not fried. They're always hot and ready for you. They live under that heat lamp. Gotta go in with this, and you know what? For you guys, I'll do a Napoleon Dynamite impression. So good. I mean, this is as industrial a product as you can get. Probably the store brand of tater tots that you would get in your local supermarket or Mega Mart, whatever you want to call it. These tater tot potato nuggets are so good. You want any of my tots? If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit it with a like and subscribe if you like food. I have so much fun highlighting these local gems. In fact, one of my favorite things to do is go for those little mini hot dogs with the meat sauce. I'll leave a link to the playlist of that right here, and you can check those videos out.